being part of the housing authority, being part of the actual neighborhood community. And if we can go to the next slide. So when Mayor de Blasio was elected and selected our chair, Shola Olatoye, sat down with our chair, and first thing he talked about is that you have to have a plan. Have to have a plan for this agency, and there has to be two key components of that plan. One, we have to engage all our stakeholders, our residents, our staff. I have to apologize. That's a xylophone, by the way. Okay, and let me turn that down. So hopefully that'll shut it off. Actually it's a new phone, and I don't know how to use it yet, but I'm getting there. But anyhow, back to when the chair first started, was appointed by the mayor, sat down and had two fundamental goals, two things that we absolutely had to do. And one is reset our relationship with all our stakeholders. So that means our residents, right, our employees, our elected officials, anybody who cares, about public housing. Also, you need a plan. We need a plan to preserve, public housing, because it is so important, to New York City, right? New York City, tremendous housing crisis right now. Affordable housing, a rare, treasure that has to be preserved. And when you talk about public housing, 178,000, apartment units in New York City, that is just such a valuable asset, and we need to do it to preserve it. But we have a tremendous challenge right now. We've had years of financial disinvestment, by the federal government and state government. Right now, we have huge capital needs, to preserve our properties. We have about $17 billion in need right now, and we only have about 10% of the funds that we need, to do work over the next 5 years. So that's a tremendous gap. And then we're also projecting a $98 million deficit for next year. And if we continue to manage and proceed the way we are, in 10 years from now, we're looking at a $424 million deficit. I mean, that's staggering and creates real challenges. And it's real challenging, certainly the residents in our audience feel every day, because you hear about the complaints about the repairs that we can't do. You read the newspaper articles about the conditions at our developments that desperately need to improve. So this is a problem, and this problem didn't happen overnight. And this plan really kind of outlines our effort to get us where we need to be, which is clean, safe, clean, and connected communities. We can go to the next slide. So the plan is built on really 4 fundamental goals. So one is fund, right? So make sure we achieve short-term financial sustainability, as well as diversify our funding sources. I mean, obviously we can't rely on the year-to-year budgeting that we get from the federal government. We've seen some good signs, right now with the de Blasio administration. The forgiveness on the payment in lieu of taxes of over $30 million a year. The forgiveness on the payments to New York City, $70 million a year. That's $100 million. That's going to help us, right now, as well as over the next, 3 years, $100 million each year, so $300 million total, to help us with the challenges that we have with our roofing systems. So we have some good things going on, but we need a lot more. We need to operate. We need to improve the way that we provide services, no question. And we're trying out different things, to get us there. This summer, you're going to see it's going to be launched right off of your handheld. You're going to be able to, off of your smartphone, you're going to be able to, to make maintenance appointments and check the status of work orders. I'm going to talk to you in a little bit about we want to change our model. We want to change the way that we manage our properties, and I'm going to talk to you about our optimal operating model for property management, or OPMOM project. So I'm going to give you a little details on that. We need to rebuild. So the developments, the properties that we currently have, we need to get funding to timely replace our building infrastructure. So I talked a little bit about roofs, but we also have to replace boilers. We have many boilers right now that are past their useful life. And many of you experienced a very challenging, winter, because of that. And what we're doing is we're looking at energy performance contracting to help us get there, right? So where we can get grants and funding to help put in some of the, the boilers and things that actually save energy, and we're actually able to, pay for that investment through the savings that we accrue through efficient systems. And then also we need to, engage our residents and really change the model in which we provide services. For many years, the Housing Authority was providing community services directly, and we just can't afford to do that anymore. But the services are desperately needed. Many of our developments are naturally occurring retirement communities, right? Folks are staying in public housing and they're getting older, and they have different needs and different services. And so what we're looking to do is really change the model and really still provide those services by connecting folks to existing services that the city provides, right? And also working with a community-based organization and nonprofit groups to help as well. So, the Next Generation Plan is really a call to action. It's great that you folks are out here tonight, and we want you to be part of it. We have a resident engagement table out front, where we'd love for you to sign up so you can get information. The actual plan is on our website. You can download a copy right there, and you can follow us, through our website and also on Twitter and Facebook. So please, get involved and work with us. So I'd like to now introduce a very talented young woman, Nicole Ferreira, to talk to us a little bit about our development projects and how they're going to be part of our Next Generation Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Very kind of you. My name is Nicole Ferreira, and I'm in the development department here at NYCHA. And so the part of Next Generation NYCHA I'd like to speak to you about is the rebuild strategy along with resident engagement. So as Brian touched upon, when the chair was appointed and the mayor asked her for a new plan, one part of that plan was to begin community visioning sessions. So those began in the fall of 2014. And we sat with residents and talked about residents' concerns. And one of the working groups focused on housing. And as Brian just mentioned, there's a lot of seniors in NYCHA developments. And one of the main goals of Next Generation NYCHA, or two of the main goals, is to preserve the public housing, but also to create more affordable housing opportunities for NYCHA residents and for New Yorkers that desperately need affordable housing. So one of the outcomes from these community visioning sessions was, as of last week, July 1st, NYCHA released a request for proposals for new construction on vacant NYCHA land at 3 developments, 2 in Brooklyn, one at Ingersoll Houses down here in downtown Brooklyn. The other is Van Dyke Houses in Brooklyn, in Brownsville, and the lastly, Millbrook in the South Bronx. So the development program came out of the community conversations we had with residents, and we really tailored these development programs towards what the residents asked for. So we put out requests for proposals for developers to build senior housing at Ingersoll Houses and senior housing at Millbrook with a senior center as well, and at Van Dyke Houses, family housing. All housing is 100% affordable in this program, below 60% of the area median income. So that's about $46,000 a year for a family of 3. Okay, next slide. So the next part of Next Generation that we're working on is preservation of public housing. So the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program is a program created by HUD, who funds us, and essentially what the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program does, or RAD, is it allows NYCHA to take the public housing and shift the funding over to a special Section 8 program where all residents' rights are maintained, all in line with their public housing rights. They don't change. And it also allows us to then be able to borrow money to make necessary capital repairs. So our first RAD pilot project is out at Ocean Bay in the Rockaways at Bayside. It's about 1,400 units across 24 buildings. We're going to be able to fully rehabilitate those buildings and preserve that housing, and all the residents will be able to stay in place. It's a program that we will be looking for requests for proposals later this year, and be working very closely with the residents of Ocean Bay Bayside through that process. And lastly, to update you on the Choice Neighborhood Initiative that we've been working on. So NYCHA put a grant application in to HUD for $30 million for the South Bronx, the Mott Haven neighborhood specifically. The Choice Neighborhood Initiative basically is an initiative by HUD to focus on housing, people, and the neighborhood. So it's a transformation plan for the public housing in Mott Haven. We are waiting to hear from HUD if we've won that grant, and we'll hear in the fall of this year. And there's the housing component has 3 sites, or 2 development sites attached to it, 1 commercial space on 146th Street and Willis Avenue, 1 on 143rd and between Brook and Willis. And again, that will be completely affordable housing, 100% affordable. And then there will be a preservation component of this program. And there will also be funding, hopefully if we are granted these monies from HUD, there will be funding for services for residents around job training, education, and things of that nature. So I'll kick it back to Brian to go over maintenance repairs.
Thank you, Nicole. So I'm going to talk a little bit about OPMOM. What OPMOM is really fundamentally changing the way that we manage our properties. And in many ways, we're going back to the way it was maybe 20 plus years ago. If you were to compare organizational charts, from the 80s to now, you would see multiple layers and many different departments within the agency. And what we found over the years is that we really kind of weakened and lessened the role of the property manager. And we need to fundamentally change that for a lot of reasons. One is it certainly has affected the way in which we provide services at our development. And then the other is that we talked about our financial challenges, and we certainly can't afford to have those multiple layers and to have resources that we really need out at the front line at our developments in the form of janitorial. Oh, there we go again. When you have teenage daughters, they track you down everywhere. But anyhow, so you really back to OPMOM. So so in many ways we've really kind of weakened the authority of the property manager and really moved the decision making down to the central office, and that causes multiple issues. Such as slower decision making, certainly, and then not really having the essential type of input that you need from the folks that are actually working and living out at the front line. So with the OPMOM project, we're taking out those layers, and we're really our effort here is really to empower the property manager to truly manage the developments. So what we did is we identified 18 properties. 3 of them were actually consolidations. As a cost-saving measure, many years ago, we had actually consolidated developments, and so we had developments that weren't actually geographically linked together, but were in the vicinity of each other. We brought them into one management office, and we saw that also created issues for us as well. So we wanted to try out, well, let's go back, let's deconsolidate, and actually put management folks right there at the development. So we've done that at 3 locations. So at 18 developments, we're trying out this this model. And what we we did is we provided the managers with extensive training for not only for management practices, but on budgeting and financial decisions. The budgets for most of our properties are still managed centrally for the most part. At the 18 OPMOM developments, they're being managed by the staff, and they're actually able to make decisions on hiring and actually able to hire up additional resources if their budget can afford it. And we were able to do that at many of the locations. So those folks that live at those developments should actually see now more janitorial staff as well as maintenance staff at the developments. We started the pilot this year. It started, in January. It's really just getting going. We've actually hired up all of the janitorial and maintenance staff. Now we're working on the skilled trade portion, and so we should have the skilled trades that are assigned to these developments to support them in place, shortly. And we're trying out some different ideas and models on how to provide better services. So, for example, one of the things that we're trying right now at OPMOM Properties is, as part of the apartment inspections, instead of having a separate party that actually doesn't work at the development and actually doesn't perform any work doing the inspections, we're having the actual maintenance workers who are assigned to that development do the inspections and do work while they're in the apartment unit. And we started that 3 weeks ago, and so far we're getting some pretty positive results out of that. We think that accomplishes a couple of things. One, you don't have to stay home multiple times, right? Your apartment is available for that inspection, and so we're trying to get in there, assess it, and then do as much work as possible while we're in there too. So we think that's a good thing, and that's a step in the right direction, and we'll be reporting out on that as well. The other piece that OPMOM is supposed to do is really improve the relationship with our residents, with property management. We actually put together a scorecard of metrics on the different things that we're measuring for this pilot. So we have a piece that's focused on how we're doing financially. There's a piece that talks about how we're doing with maintenance, and then there's a very important piece on customer service and how we're performing overall at the developments. So those folks that live at those developments, there's going to be surveys out there giving us feedback. There's also, we actually measure the meetings that we're having with the resident associations, and I sit down with them monthly review, and if we're not meeting targets, we need to understand why. But what we want to do is really improve that overall, the overall relationship. So it's just getting started. I'm sure I'll be back to report about it to everybody again shortly. And you can see, certainly visit our website for updates that'll be available there as well. So it's an exciting project. I'm really optimistic about it, and I think it's going to really be a good thing overall for the agency. The 18 properties, if we go to the next slide, are listed there, but certainly in Brooklyn, Howard, Tilden, Stefflow, Langston, Woodson, Unity Plaza, Van Dyke, and Brownsville are all in that. Okay? So if we go to the next slide, one of the things that I want to talk to you about is part of the annual plan process is when we have significant policy changes, we need to put that out there for comment, right? That's why you're here tonight, and certainly anybody who's reviewing the plan and wants to submit comments, it's certainly those policy changes that are very important. And one of the policy changes that we're proposing in the annual plan is to change our transfer priority for reasonable accommodations. Right now, the transfer priority is a T3, which means it's a lower level priority. And so folks that are requesting it, a transfer by reasonable accommodation, are waiting an extended period of time. And what we are proposing doing is to moving it up, to our highest priority, T0, and that way, folks that are in need, we feel that we'll be able to move much quicker. So, for example, somebody that has a mobility disability is living in a walk-up building, we can expedite a transfer to a building that has an elevator or to a first-floor apartment unit. Okay? So with that, I'd like to introduce a man who is much smarter than I am, Richard Couch, our CEO.
I must owe Brian money for that complimentary introduction. I'll find out how much later. I want want to talk to Richard Couch, Chief Financial Officer. I want to talk for a few minutes about our financial position. And, Brian had mentioned at the beginning of his talk about the $98 million operating deficit that we adopted back in the beginning of the year. So I want to give you a little bit of context behind that. The chart to my right, you'll see it breaks out the revenues and expenses. It's looking at really how do we get to that $98 million deficit as part of the adopted plan. And what you can see on the on the left of the chart is our revenues, which are really comprised of three components. About a third of it is the federal operating subsidy. Another third of it is representative of the rent collection we do. And then the final third is the Section 8 or our leased housing voucher program, which funds our leased housing and Section 8 program. On the right of the chart is the expenses. You'll see that the expenses of $3.2 billion do exceed our revenues of $3.1. That creates the roughly $100 million deficit. And you can see most of the expenses, salaries and benefits, utilities create about 20% of our costs. And what you'll notice about those expenses is that there's not always a lot we can do about reducing expenses unless it impacts services. So you could see the large component of salaries and wages really are a large portion of the staff that work at the development. So to the extent you reduce staff and staffing expense, it does impact the service levels, something which we really don't want to do. The next slide. This gives a really look and feel for how does it affect it at the per unit basis. The $98 million operating deficit that we had adopted for the year is primarily at the traditional public housing program. Our Section 8 leased housing program is, for the most part, fully funded. It's our traditional public housing program that's about $98 million deficit. And if you look to the right, you'll actually see how we look at it on a per unit basis. So you could see that from a collection point of view, our revenues, we receive about $489 per unit in revenue. Subsidies, the federal government provides us with $433 per unit on average, another $82 on average, giving us roughly $1,000 per unit across the entire NYCHA portfolio. Unfortunately, our expenses are $1,052 per unit, roughly $42 per unit, and when you multiply it across the traditional public housing portfolio, it creates that $98 million budget deficit gap that we're looking to address. Next slide. What you see here, I think, is what I would describe as still bad news in that there's a deficit, but really the work we're trying to do as part of Next Gen NYCHA and other initiatives to try to reduce that gap, not only in 2015, but really as we go forward. As we mentioned, we started the year with a $98 million deficit, and as we've worked through some of the next generation initiatives, we are making progress to increase rent collection. Various measures are going in place, not only various payment plans and ability to maybe split up rent over 2 payments throughout the month. We're looking to increase rent collection about $5 million for the remainder of the year. We do have what we refer to as our 5,000 city and state unfunded units. Those are units that receive no federal subsidy. They only receive the rent collected, and they're essentially unfunded because the city and state had backed away a number of years ago from providing funding. And we have about 5,000 unfunded units, but we are continuing to try to convert those units, which receive a traditional public housing federal subsidy, in order to get a Section 8 voucher subsidy. And to the extent we can do that at a faster pace, we can increase that funding. So we're going to continue to look for that program. We think we'll get another additional $2 million this year to help close that gap. And lastly, was really working with the city and the de Blasio administration on eliminating not only the NYPD payment that we had looked to eliminate last year, but this also, the $17 million here you see on the page, is half of the pilot payment. That's the payment in lieu of taxes that NYCHA has historically paid to the city, essentially a property tax that another city agency pays back to the city, roughly $33 million a year. city has waived that for the remaining part of the year. We will get that benefit, $17 million, which will help us reduce the deficit. So right now we're at $74 million. We're going to continue to push hard and see what else we can do to reduce the deficit. And these next generation NYCHA initiatives will hopefully, continue forward as we go each year to really whittle down that amount. So when we get to year 2025, we're not going to be stuck with a $425 million annual operating deficit, but really balance the budget. And I think, that's a really big part of why we're here, is to help communicate that and also reach out for help where we need it. I'm going to turn it over now to Anne-Marie Flatley. She's our Vice President of Research and Management, and she's going to discuss the flat rent.
Thank you all so much for coming. As Richard said, my name is Anne-Marie Flatley, and I'm the VP for Research and Management Analysis. I'm here to speak to you tonight about NYCHA's flat rent policy. Now, the bad news is that it's going up yet again, and this is because of HUD requirements. But most of you in the room will not be impacted by this rent increase. This impacts families that are on the higher income scale, and so it will impact about 20% of NYCHA's families, as I said before. So how many of you are familiar with the term flat rent? Some people are, some people aren't. If you remember, if you've been here for a while, we used to have a term, it was called ceiling rent, and we had the ceiling rents. Yes, I see a lot more people nodding their heads. Where it used to be between 1989 and 2006, it was about $495 for a two-bedroom apartment. And then starting in 2006, NYCHA started increasing the rents, the flat rents at the time, and that was to deal with, again, the ongoing deficit that's, as Richard talked about before. So between 2006 and up until about last year, HUD, which is the Department of Housing and Urban Development, they allowed different housing authorities such as New York, Chicago, Philadelphia. We determined how to increase or what to set the flat rents. Unfortunately, that did change last year. There was a change to the law. We had town hall meetings last year that I presented this information at. And what essentially has to happen is that we need to increase our flat rents over the next 3 years to a new HUD minimum. And that HUD minimum is shown in what's called income level 3. So for a two-bedroom apartment, the new HUD minimum rent is $1,185. But that's only if you're at that income. As I said, most families will not be impacted. You'll continue to pay what's called the income-based rent, or 30% of your income for rent. So last year, when this came out, NYCHA had requested permission from HUD to phase this in over 5 years. We worked very closely with the congressional delegation. We worked with the mayor's office. Most housing authorities in the country started these 3-year increases last June. They went into effect. HUD allowed us to, essentially gave us an extra year, so we started the increases this past June. For those of you that were here in the spring, we came out, we did what we called an amendment. So there are rent increases that are going in this June, that with the annual income reviews, where if you have a change in rent, it will actually change in November. The rents that you're seeing on the screen will actually go into effect next June with the annual income reviews, but they won't actually change until next November. But we have to present them now because they're part of the annual plan for the entire year for 2016. So what you're seeing on the screen are the rents. They vary, as I said, by income level as well as bedroom size. Outside on the table, we have very detailed rent schedules in English as well as Spanish, Russian, and Chinese. We also have this on our website. But I do want to kind of give you a quick explanation. So as when I was saying before, you have to have a certain income level to be impacted. If you're in a studio apartment and your income is less than $25,600, you'll continue to pay the same income-based rent. You will not be paying that $811. If you're in a one-bedroom, your income has to be, and when I say income, that's your total family income, has to be $26,760. If you're in a two-bedroom, your income would have to be at least $31,680, and a three-bedroom, $40,760. And if you're in a 5-bedroom, $52,480. And for a 6-bedroom, your income would have to be at least over $59,000. So the average income within the housing authority is about $23,000. As I was saying, most people, most families will not be impacted. Unfortunately, the families that will be, we originally were trying to keep their rents low or lower than what this HUD minimum is. But unfortunately, given the change in law, we have to comply, and we're trying to phase it in. So that's why the rents that you're seeing on the screen will actually be in effect by next November. So as I said, we have detailed charts outside. I will be here to answer questions. I know it's very personal to talk about what your income is and the number of people in your family. I'm happy to talk offline after the meeting, so feel free to ask me any questions that you have. So I'd like to turn it over to Scott Groom from Capital Projects.
Good evening. My name is Scott Groom. I am an architect with the Office of Design within the Capital Projects Division, and thank you for coming here tonight. I'm going to go over some of our capital plan details. As was mentioned before by Brian, we have a decreasing amount of funds available for making capital improvements. This has been really unfortunate because in the last decade, most or all of our buildings have reached that golden age of 40 or more years where all systems are going to be needing to be replaced. So our part in Next Gen NYCHA is rebuilding and preserving, and that's our challenge. Right now, we'll continue to focus most of our capital money on the envelopes of buildings. We're fully in construction on $500 million of projects that was raised through Bond B, and the result of that has been the removal of legacy sidewalk sheds. Some sheds have been up at our developments for 5 years. We had close to 23 miles of sheds up around the city, and that has resulted in the removal of those sheds. And now hopefully the only sheds you'll see up in your developments are ones with active construction projects. So brickwork, roofs, windows, it's our projects. Safe, Clean, and Connected is Next Gen NYCHA, and I say for our project is safe, warm, and comfortable. So we want to keep water out of our apartments. So we'll continue to have a focus on brickwork and roofs. Whenever possible, we'd like to do comprehensive projects in developments. So not just do bricks and roofs, but also at the same time focus on bathrooms, kitchens, boilers, and other system upgrades. We have one in Brooklyn. Brook Ellen is in design right now, and as you might remember, we've been successful with Ingersoll and Whitman in previous years here. The next set of capital projects is boilers and other system upgrades. That's self-explanatory. Boilers don't last forever, and we have the associated systems as well that need attention. Fire alarms, mostly these are at community centers, keeping the people within these centers safe, the children and seniors at these facilities, and other projects dovetailing with the disability goals that we have that was mentioned before. We're putting money toward improving access through the Section 504 agreement that we have. So that will address our growing senior population, and some other type of projects that we have are compactors, which will help improve our trash collection. Okay, next. Okay, and in addition to federal projects, federal money, we have been very fortunate to have a construction with $35 million in exterior lighting around the city. Another source of funds is the city capital. So keep on making requests to your city council people and members, and do participate in the participatory budgeting process when you can. So another area that we've been very fortunate, unprecedented, I'd say, opportunity in the $3.2 million that we have gotten through FEMA money, and this money is going to really help transform the developments that were so impacted by Hurricane Sandy. Today I was at a charrette where the designers and construction managers, we all met to share ideas, and it's very exciting. It's given us a chance to rethink and transform what public housing will look like here in New York City going forward. And asset forfeiture, okay, is another way that we are helping to improve, add CCTVs and exterior lighting around our facilities. So that's it. That's is our hope that these and other funding sources will be made available so that we can make these vital improvements at your developments. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. So we hope that as many people as possible will have an opportunity to comment, to provide a comment. So before we begin, let's go over the following ground rules. If you wish to speak, you must first fill out a speaker slip that Makiba Price had raised earlier. They are available in the front entrance, or we can bring one to you. Please line up by the microphones in the aisles and wait your turn to speak. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes. On to my right, there's a clock. When you begin to speak, the light will be on, and the timer will start to count down. When the yellow light is lit, it means that you should start to conclude your remarks. When the red light is turned on, you should complete and submit your comment. Your comments can be submitted in the front, and we will record them. The number of speaker slips are non-transferable, and if you do not wish to speak, then we will move on to the next speaker. This town hall is being recorded and transcribed by a stenographer to my right. And please speak clearly into the microphone and identify yourself, your development, or affiliation. Remember, there are no comments. We are here to comment on the 2016 fiscal plan. Any personal comments or criticism or oral attack on NYCHA personnel, resident representatives, and public attendees, or any demeaning, discriminatory, or ethnic slurs or vulgar language, or any demeaning will not be tolerated. I, as the moderator this evening, reserve the right to move on to the next speaker if anyone should engage in these activities. The moderator on stage is in charge of the meeting. Please be considerate of your neighbors or your colleagues. We're here to consider issues that are of concern to everyone, not issues that are concerning to your personal apartment or individual resident. If you have an issue or concern in your apartment, we have property management staff in the lobby, and they will address your issue, or you can report those issues to them. We have a table called resident complaints, so please submit your comments there. We have general information tables in the lobby, also representing our resident economic and sustainability department, Reese Family Services, and our garden and greening program. So take advantage of the opportunity to meet those representatives. So if I can have first speaker. So our first speaker is Ms. Beverly Corbett.
Good afternoon. My name is Beverly Corbin. I'm from White Claw Gardens, and I'm a member of Fury, Families United for Racial and Economic Equality. My first comment is outreach. this outreach wasn't that great. I didn't even get a phone call. If I had not belonged to Fury, I would have not heard about the meeting today. Um, there are no flyers in our management office. I think a lot of residents didn't even know through the resident association. I think small community groups such as Fury, CBH, Goals on the Lower East Side, and Moms on the Move, we tried to get information out to many residents as possible to know about community meetings and things that are going on like that. They had a community meeting with NYCHA Next Generation. Very few residents knew that it was coming to White Court Gardens. I didn't know, and neither did our organization. So it could have been built up and worked as good as the program that you had in Ingersoll, which I got to attend because one of our members belong to Ingersoll. So I found it to be very interesting and very helpful to the tenants and the community. Also, taking a test doesn't make you a good manager. We've had managers be very rude to some tenants, not understanding, having no compassion for the residents. I know it's not their jobs to be our babysitters, but sometimes incidents occur, and patience and understanding has to happen with the residents. I've worked for the Veterans Administration where they show compassion, even through the times of trial and tribulations. You don't know what everybody's pain is. And I think that's something that NYCHA should do as a community service. Retrain your management and your management staff. As to the ground maintenance people, those are the hardest working people in New York City. I live in a 21-story building that only has 2 people to maintain and clean that building. That is totally impossible and unacceptable. Your maintenance staff, I can't say anything bad about them. It's difficult to clean a 21-story building with 8 apartments on a floor and clean an elevator and try to keep the grounds clean. White Court Gardens, every morning they come in, they pull garbage, they carry garbage, they clean, they mop, they try to do as much as they can. The groundkeepers have more sometimes compassion than those in the management office. That's something I think residents should be able to sit down with and have a conversation with you about. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have 4 other town halls, so we'll make every effort to do additional outreach so residents could be informed about the meeting. And I think Mr. Clark spoke about the OPMA model, and maybe that could address some of, if you wanted to.
First off, Ms. Corbin, I really appreciate the comments that you made about our frontline staff. I agree with you. They have great challenges, and really, I appreciate hearing that, and I'm sure they would appreciate it as well. So thank you for that acknowledgement. And no question, I know you made the comment about a test to be a manager, and you're absolutely right. Customer service, investing in training in customer service, and then periodic refreshing, I think is an excellent idea. So we'll take a look at that. Okay?
Our next speaker is Ms. Victoria Amu. From Walt Whitman Houses.
Mo from resident of Walt Whitman. Well, I thank Housing for bringing everybody together and to tell us more about their initiative or their plan. But as I listen to all the presenters, one of the things that are really concern me, and I know majority of the people living in housing, is the heating system. When it comes to the winter time, it's either extremely hot or extremely cold. And I think this is one of the things that make a lot of people sick. A lot of people have children, asthma, elderly, or people with disability in the building. This heating system has been on for almost 50 years, as long as they build those buildings, and nothing has been done. Most of them are very rotten, and then when you hear the smell, you feel you're sick to death. So I think when they're making all this big plan, they should include this thing to rebuild it, to make people healthy, to make people sick, in short. And also, the housing, they make initiative about green committee, resident green committee. I think there should be more effort in helping the residents and also to encourage the residents to join the green committee. They're talking about energy, how to reduce energy. When you are in deficit, if you encourage residents and help with the more on outreach so they can use less energy, that can housing can save money on that as well. There are so many promises they made when it comes to green. For recycling, nothing has been done, and nothing has been done with the electricity and all that stuff. So I know they concentrate more on gardening, but like the lady said, when you see the environment, more outreach needs to be done to the tenants to keep it clean. You can spend a lot of money, but if people can't cooperate in maintaining, it's just like money wasted. So there's need outreach to the tenant that where they live, we live there, we have to maintain it and keep it clean. So a lot of this garbage and town recycle can be some sort of things to make, we're talking about healthy, living healthy life. And this is one of the things. So she should help more on green community, not only on garden, but electricity as well as recycling. Thank you.
So Brian Clark will address your comment.
Yeah, hi. So I'm so glad that you mentioned, recycling, because that I'm not sure. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I'm definitely podium challenged tonight. I tell you. So with recycling, definitely, that's an area where we really haven't been successful. And so as part of our next generation, NYCHA plan, we are committed to recycling. And well, so what does that mean? So for our residents that right now want to recycle, there's very limited options for you to do that. And so what we're going to do over the course of the next year, we're going to make sure that all of our developments have recycling stations, on the grounds. Years ago, back in the 1980s, we used to have incinerators in the buildings, right? So didn't really have big trash issues, didn't have really pest issues, but unfortunately we had air quality issues, right? So the Clean Air Act required us to convert to compactors, and that's one of our greatest challenges is how we manage waste. And one thing we can do better, no question, is recycling. So we're actually putting in these recycling stations. There's going to be, for each station, there's going to be a large container for metals and plastics, and then there's going to be another for cardboard and paper. And what's good about these recycling stations is that they're designed so that actually a family can recycle. What that means is it's just not designed to just fit one bottle or just to slide in a newspaper. They actually have an opening on it large enough, to fit actually a bag of recyclables in it. So the one piece is to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place. We have recycling stations in place on the grounds so that folks can recycle. Now, they're not going to be inside the building. They're going to be outside the building. And we're placing them strategically. Not going to put them right at the building entrances. They're going to be away from the building entrances so that what happens is if we put it by the entrances, we found that we were getting a lot of contamination. People were just throwing all kinds of garbage in there. And so we're actually working in the way that we're doing this, and we're not doing it alone. We're actually partnering with the Department of Sanitation on this. And there is a nonprofit group, Grow NYC, that's also working with us on this. And so when it comes time to install the recycling stations at your actually going to be meeting with the resident association, the TAs, to actually walk the property, decide where to put the stations, right? And then there's going to be not just a one point in time, one training session, but there's going to be ongoing outreach and education, not only for our NYCHA residents, but also for our staff, so that everybody, knows all the requirements of recycling, and most importantly, the importance of recycling. Because if we want to, sustain New York City, sustain this world, I mean, we really have to do a better job of how we manage our waste. And certainly, if we can reuse it, we need to do that. And also, I wanted to just comment a little bit about the heating. No question, very challenging winter for us, very, very cold winter. And our systems certainly were tested, and in many areas definitely didn't stand up, to the challenges. We had a really, really tough winter. And part of that is what we're talking about tonight, because of the disinvestment in public housing. And you look at, I mean, that's staggering when you think about it. We have $17 billion in need, and we only have, a couple of billion, and I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not, to maintain our systems, such as a heating plant. And boilers are very expensive. It's at least, for the large boilers, it's at least $1 million a boiler. And many of our larger developments, like Whitman, would have, 6 or 7 boilers. So that's a big expenditure, but much needed. And that's why we have to be creative in the way in which we get funding. And that's why we got to work together to really, where we can, lobby for additional funding, for public housing, with the federal government, with the state, and with local government, as well. But we are doing the best that we can. I know that right now there is the boilers at Ingersoll are actually in the capital plan, and recently I think it was the last board meeting, we awarded a contract to replace them, so that work should be starting, in the near future. My memory's not that good. I don't know if Whitman too. So Whitman also, as well, is that contract awarded yet? Okay, so that's a good thing. So actually, Whitman is funded, and will be going to procurement. Doesn't mean that the boilers certainly aren't going to be replaced for this upcoming winter. So that's up to us, with the resources that we have, do our best, to see what we can do right now during the summer to really prep for the winter, and we're doing that. Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker, Ms. Julia Foster from Cooper Park. She left? Okay. Ms. Lisa Kenner from Van Dyke Houses.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I hear you say safe, clean, and connected communities. To me, you're trying to divide. And why I say that, with this next generation, when they came in, they didn't tell, people wasn't truthful to the people. And I'm talking about NYCHA staff when they came and did the presentation. Because one thing, you have to educate people the difference between low income and affordable. They kept on throwing affordable. And when you have people that really never been around that, they don't really understand it. You got to say low income, you got to say affordable, and you got to say high income. And people fell for it. And now here we're going to get another building. We're already having something built with Canberra in the parking lot. You can't oversaturate us. I have to be straight. I was born and raised in Brownsville. We territorial people. It ain't no way you're going to build a building and it's going to be all nice and fancy. And we have 22 buildings, haven't been painted. They paint is supposed to be beige, it's gray. You got to paint the whole wall. You got to elevate it. They put red, but didn't paint the whole. You can't put us like that. We may live, I keep hearing people say, oh, that's a poor community. We're not poor. We just ain't have a lot of money. We wasn't blessed like other people was. But we rich in spirit. One thing, we rich in spirit. And I know I don't go to church every Sunday, but I know there's a God in heaven. He looked down. He all of us. But here you want to put this big building, 225 units with families. We got young people running around. We got buildings. We got Tilden. We got Brownsville. We got Cephala. We got Langston Hughes. But yet, you not painting nothing in the building. So they're gonna make us look like, oh, those are poor people over there, and then the people gonna come out all bougie like that. Somebody gonna hit them in the head. I'm here to tell you, you can't act like that. So my thing is, when they put out this RFP, no, I wasn't for it, and I'm still not for it, because you have to do something with the people you have. You can't just come and put the building there. Because my thing was to Mr. Crawley, where you going to put the garbage? Oh, we'll see. We'll see. I asked him, I said, well, how much is the AMI? Oh, I don't know. How you don't know you put in the RFP? Then I had to go to 22nd Street to the Lions Group, and they telling me what he should have told me down in Van Dyke. Now, I know I'm not stupid, but I'm not the dullest star up in the sky neither. So that's why you get people around you that you don't know things. Now, I'm sure, Mr. Kelly, you know a lot, but you got people around you that know something more than you. He's the money man, so he knows about money, you know. So I brought some residents here because they can tell you the same thing. We not stupid. And if you think you're going to come and put a building there, I'm going to get my chair and I'm going to sit down there, you know, because it talks about the next generation. And if you don't prepare for the next generation, I have a great-grandson, 4 months, and I was babysitting today, and that's been 20 years I babysit. And I thought about him, and I wanted to come. I was going to bring him if I didn't get a babysitter, but I was fortunate. But I was thinking about him, that if I don't teach him and train him, how would he know? Would he give up by fighting? I may not win. We may not win. But I want you to know, people live in Van Dyke, we are not stupid. We're not going to be played stupid, and we don't mind fighting. Now, like I told my son, I said, if I go to jail, I'm going to go to jail for something. I'm not going to jail for something stupid. I know before I came and was president, I know Miss Anderson. I remember I heard Mr. Carter get up here and talk. I heard he called the NYCHA storytellers. I ain't going to say the word, but they storytellers. I seen it. And you got to stop telling people lies. You know, everybody said you got to be transparent. You're not transparent. You bring people into our communities. We don't have to partner with everybody. Everybody's not honest. Everybody's not honest. I don't want to be partners with certain people. And I don't want to be pushed, oh, yeah, you go ahead in. And then you play residents against residents. And that's a bad thing. Because at the end of it, it's going to come back to you. I don't have a problem fighting. But I'm not going to be fighting for something stupid. I know that clock is going and going and going.
But wrap it up.
But that's all right. I'm going to be sitting down in a few minutes. But I just want Mr. Kelly to know. And he came out to Van Dyke. We walked the grounds. And you seen where they want to put the building. Before you put a building anywhere, you got to show people that they mean something. They care. You know, I don't think people will be so bad. Okay, they're going to put a building there. But they'll see, oh, they're painting the walls. They're painting the elevators. They're fixing the roof. I mean, what do we get out the deal you putting there? How much money you getting? Are we going to be able to get roofs repaired? Are we going to be able to get boilers? What we get? We don't get nothing but bougie people coming and think they better than us? I don't think so. Have a good night.
Nicole Ferreira.
Hi, Ms. Kenner. Thank you so much for your remarks. So, very, very good comments. And I just want to point out a few things. So the request for proposals that went out, the developers, we put a point system to rate the developers based on the deepest affordability that they will propose to us. So they will be ranked on that. We are really trying to partner with a developer that would get to the lowest income households. They will also work with us to work with the residents to try to move them into the new building. Another way that the RFP was worded was to work with developers and provide points for the highest financial return to NYCHA. So we don't know what the money is yet because we still have the RFP on the street, and when we get those proposals back, we will rank them, and we are looking for the deepest affordability and the highest return to NYCHA. And when we find out that number, we will be sitting with you, and we will talk through the capital needs at your development site with the other residents and go through what we can repair. Additionally, there is language in the RFP about moving the trash compactor, and that will be on the developer's tab to pay for. So I really appreciate that feedback. And so we definitely will be having that conversation. We do not have a set site for the, I know that there was a couple of ideas. We're not putting the garbage in the middle of the football field. So we will come talk to you once we get the proposals back, and we will come talk to you about the best ideas to move forward of where the trash will go. So I think that we are trying to. Right. So I appreciate the comments, and we also are trying to provide affordable housing for other families, and I totally hear you, and we will sit. Right. So we will come back out and meet with residents. But we will come back out and meet with residents once we receive the proposals back. Thank you. Okay. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker, also from Van Dyke, Ms. Jacqueline Garrett. I think it's Garrett. But she will be the speaker. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Garrett, and I'm from the Van Dyke Housing. And as Lisa spoke, and she said everything that about affordable homes. I'm a low-income resident, and I would look forward to being able to move into somewhere where things might be a little different than in working in our building. And I know I couldn't live in that place because I don't have the monies that y'all just asked for. As far as the rent increase in the buildings, when I can just walk in my building and the door's supposed to be locked and pull it open and feel unsafe, not knowing who's standing where waiting and what they would do. Leaks in the buildings, elevators not clean. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on in the committees.
Well, let me tell her. She get a little shy. Okay. No. Okay. It was 6 committees for the next generation, and it was affordable committee, abandoned, and communities, abandoned lots, community center, but they had it at the same time. So that way we wasn't able to go and say, I wanted to go all 6. I couldn't go all 6 because it met at the same time. If they had one at 5 o'clock, they could have had another one at 6 o'clock. So we wasn't able to attend all of. So the ones that I sat on was the affordable committee because that was the one I needed to sit on. But then we come to find out we should have been sitting on the community centers because now you turn all the community centers to DYCD, and then nobody knows what's going on. You know, so that's the thing that we got in between. How you have 6? How we gonna be in one place 6 times at the same time? Now, if we was that good, we'd have 6 lotto numbers and we'd be out of here.
for the units, there will be a lottery process. If there's any project-based vouchers, we use the NYCHA waitlist and then open up the waitlist for the project-based. But the RFPs are still out, so we're not sure exactly. But we will go back to the residents once we get the proposals, and we will brief the residents on exactly how it's going to work. But yes, the lottery will stand.
And will it be mixed-use housing?
There's a community space being envisioned for Ingersoll houses on the ground floor, and at Millbrook, we asked for proposals because that community wanted a senior center. There's no commercial, so there won't be any retail in the RFP.
In regards to the RAD program at Ocean Bay, are those residents going to be relocated while you renovate? And if so, where?
So we are putting a request for proposal out in the fall or the early winter, and in that request, we are requesting that developers do tenant-in-place rehabilitation so that nobody has to be moved. Now, if we have to go in and move a plumbing line and somebody has to be moved, it won't be for a year. It'll be for a couple of weeks and within the development. So we're going to work closely with the residents. We've been speaking to them about this, about all of those plans once we figure out exactly what the rehab is going to be. It's going to be all new kitchens and bathrooms, so we'll work with the residents on that.
And is Ocean Bay, is that the first of many scatter site housing that you're going to be implementing this project to?
So RAD is a program that we had to apply to HUD for, and there's only about a couple thousand RAD vouchers available nationwide. So at this point, those 1,400 units are the only RAD units that we have approved. So at this point, that's all we're doing. We would have to go back to HUD and talk to them about doing future RAD programs. But we're trying to see how well this works at Ocean Bay Bayside, and that's all we have approved for now.
And is Ocean Bay scatter site housing, or is
it's not? It's conventional public housing.
And will NYCHA be selling the scatter site housing?
So one of the concepts in Next Gen NYCHA was to figure out a way to reduce our capital needs. And so since the scattered site buildings, the walk-up buildings up in the Bronx, and there's some in Manhattan, I mean, they're all over the boroughs, are not managed. They don't have their own property manager, so it's very expensive for us to manage them and difficult because we usually are, managing the big buildings, and these are mostly lower walk-up buildings. We are going to go to HUD to figure out a plan where we can do what we're doing in Ocean Bay with those properties. So it's not disposing of them. It would be in the technical sense of we're just going to sell them. We would, if we do move forward and HUD does allow us to do this, it would be NYCHA would maintain ownership in partnership with a developer, and we would look to leverage, move those from public housing to Section 8, just like Ocean Bay Bayside, keeping all the tenants' rights in place, and then leverage dollars so that we could fix those buildings up completely. But they will still be NYCHA controls within that partnership. So we don't have approval for that. It's a very, very early plan. That's why it's not in the annual plan. It's just a concept at this point, and as a part of Next Gen NYCHA, where we're just trying to address our capital needs so we can preserve that housing. So there's no plan in place at this point. It's just a very early idea.
And with that question being said, I am a resident of one of the scatter site
Okay.
walk-up buildings.
Okay.
So I'm very concerned about that, and my residents are also concerned about that.
Absolutely. So we have not engaged anybody because, like I just said, we don't have a plan in place, and we need to speak to HUD first. This would be a special project for NYCHA specifically, and so we don't even know if it's something that can be executed, but we will come and speak to you if that is something that we're going to move forward. But I want you to know that the way that we are going to do this is to focus on preserving tenant rights. The tenants maintain in their homes. You can automatically transfer into the program and to fully rehabilitate these buildings. NYCHA will be part of the ownership structure, and that is the concept. If we can actually do this, we have no idea if we can do this. We have no approvals for it, and so it's very early to be speaking about this. This is why we have not engaged with the residents.
Well, I think that the sooner you know about it, the sooner we should know about it. We shouldn't have to wait, until it's.
I understand. We don't want to freak everybody out because we don't have a plan. So it's very early, and once we have more information, we absolutely will speak to you about it. Very early on.
Thank you. Ms. Flatley, I just have a question for you as well. You discussed the flat rent. I'm part of that 20%, and you discussed the flat rate rent. It's going to be effective November 2016. However, I received notification that my rent was going to change in August of 2015. That's the first part of the question. And the second part is you didn't discuss the utility credit.
Okay. So we actually started these flat rent increases last year. We had the law changed in January. We worked through 2014 trying to get the implementation delayed. But nearly every single year since 2006, we have been doing regular flat rent increases. So you just had your annual review. That was done. What month was that? You handed in the paperwork? I'm sorry?
2 months ago.
It was 2 months ago. So that is, those are part of the rent increases that we had regularly scheduled for the flat rent. The official 3-year time in order to get the flat rents up to what's called the 80% of fair market rent, that is starting with the June 1, 2015 annual income reviews. And so that's why we had to do a significant amendment. I think I met you a couple of months ago. So the official 3-year start is starting in this June. And then the rents become effective in November. And then what I showed on the screen are rents that are for the following year. That being said, as part of the change in the flat rents, starting in the fourth quarter of last year, with the annual reviews, people received packets in December. With those rent increases, we started to give back the utility allowance to the flat rent households. Because a number of years ago, there was actually a change in the federal law where HUD said families at flat rent are not entitled to utility allowances. So we had to take that away. With the change in the law and with the implementation of these flat rent increases, families such as yours that are in the developments that pay for electricity will start to get the utility allowances back. Now, I know we've had many conversations about the timing of when that's going to happen. I spoke again to the NYCHA's law department and our policy people, and because originally we had thought, well, maybe we can just go in and change all the utility allowances. But the way the law is written, it's triggered with the change in the rent. So we couldn't change the utility allowance without doing that rent increase. So that's why we're phasing in, bringing back the utility allowances as well as the rent increases. So when you just had your income review, you should get your utility allowances back in August when that goes into effect. So if you don't, let me know. So we've done some analysis. We pulled out the families that are at flat rent in these developments. I think there's about 1,800 families that are impacted. And so far we can tell about 1,000 of them have now gotten their utility allowance back as they go through the annual review process and as their rent changes.
So it won't be retroactive?
It will not be retroactive because it happens as we do these flat rent increases going forward.
Because at the last forum you did mention in March that it was going to.
I thought, and I'll admit I was wrong because that I interpreted it incorrectly. It actually goes forward as the rent increases go into effect. So I apologize for any confusion on that, and I take responsibility for not being correct. But it is happening as it goes forward, and we can tell that so far about 1,000 families have started to receive that utility allowances back as they go through the annual income review process.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just one last question. Mr. Groom, Lennox Road is has been renovated 30 years ago. We have a lot of roof and
is Ms. Charlene Parker.
Hi, my name is Charlene Parker. I'm from Linden Houses. I haven't heard anyone talk about Linden Houses and its problems, and it has many problems. I'm going to concentrate on two, actually. First, the first one is we need cameras. We need cameras desperately in these buildings. We need cameras for uh, people who come into our neighborhood that doing the wrong things, and we need cameras for our tenants. We have tenants who throw garbage out the windows. We have tenants who leave garbage in front of the incinerator. We have tenants who leave garbage at the back door. I call and I call emergency, and I call my representatives. And I am told all the time, even from management, that we don't have enough people. Well, that's not our problem. We're paying rent. I don't have Section 8. I pay a high rent where I live, and we're not getting any services. The little girl and boy that got hurt in Boulevard Houses that is right across the street from me, the guy who hurt them ran through my building from the back door. It's always open. The back door and the front door is always open. We have so many problems, and it's been like this here for 5, 6, 7 years, and I can't understand why nothing is being done about it. The cameras are desperately needed. They put a camera in my building, and I'm thinking, I said, okay, we're getting cameras. And it's just for specific reasons, for housing who moved into my building on the first. We have carriage rooms. They moved into the carriage room for some reason. I don't know what the reason is, but they put a camera there in front of the door so that their equipment wouldn't be stolen. What about the people who live in that building? Okay, and there's another problem. I live on the main floor. I'm handicapped, and we have sewage problems. The last sewage problem we had was so great, no one would come out, but that's a long story. I ended up in a hospital because of it with bacteria. We need those pipes. We need new pipes. Whoever's doing the capital planning, that needs to be a part of the capital planning. These things get clogged up, and I've complained to housing about coming and checking downstairs. I know the whole story. I lived in there since 1972. Every 4 or 5 years, here we go with the sewage problems. But this last one was so great that it just, we had to put in claims. I never put in claims before, but this time we had to put in claims before because it ruined our apartments, and I'm still having problems with gnats. That's how bad it is. Okay, so no one is talking about that in the capital plan, and that needs to be done. Just like the boilers, we need that to be done too. And Optima, I'm saying it right?
Optima, yes.
Okay. We need people to the grounds. There's nobody there to work. There is no one there to work. The guys that used to work there, I don't see them anymore. And I'm saying, well, what's going on? You know? I don't see anybody to work, and the same thing when I call housing, it's the same thing over and over and over again. We don't have anybody. I'm waiting for 2 people. I'm waiting for 3
So, Ms. Parker, I'm going to ask Mr. Clark to address some of your questions.
Mr. Clark?
Yeah. Hi, ma'am. So just I just want to make sure I cover all of them. So I'll start with the cameras.
So much. I can't.
I'll do my best. All right. So first off with cameras, we've been very successful working with our elected officials on their discretionary, because they have a discretionary budget where they've been able to identify funding to install the cameras. So we've had great success over the past few years in doing that, and that's working with the resident association with the local elected officials. So that's something that you're from Linden Houses?
Linden Houses.
Yeah, so that's something that certainly encourage you to do, and we can certainly provide estimates of what the cost would be for that. But that's really how we get them installed in our. We have so many needs with our capital funding.
understand.
That's where we really look to work with our elected officials on dollars that they have available. I mean, the money isn't endless, but working with them and funding that they can identify to help with putting in the cameras and the security initiatives such as layered access.
But according to the mayor, he was putting them in every housing development. Every housing development.
Yeah, certainly this administration has been incredibly supportive of public housing. We talked a little bit, both Richard and I, about the funding that they've identified, and they're certainly working with us and trying to help us get the funding that we need. So just to talk to you a little bit about the sewer backup.
Yes.
So that's certainly in a multifamily building. You're in a first floor apartment.
Yes.
That's definitely a challenge because periodically that does occur. Most of the time, that is not due to a capital improvement or requiring the pipes. It's simply that the lines need to be cleaned out, right? Either jetted or cleaned, because what happens is over the years things build up in the pipe.
The traps.
And now is it? Yeah.
I know the whole story, but they won't come and do it. They need to have a schedule to come and clean it. I just called, matter of fact, yesterday because of the rain. Okay? Everything, you can tell because I live on the first floor and I'm looking down at the ramp and I'm seeing the water. That's the start of it.
Yeah.
The start of it. But you can't get housing to put on a schedule once someone come and clean out the traps. I know the whole story, But according to my manager, they need new pipings. Now I don't know how.
Okay, so so we'll definitely review that issue, and I know the comments recorded, and we're going to provide a response to that. And I think the last thing you brought up was the challenge with the ground. So so no question, staffing.
I got pictures.
Is definitely an issue for us. We definitely need more staff, and we've talked about our funding challenges. But this year we were able to bring something back that we think is gonna help us, and that was the seasonal program. So we're actually we were able to get that identify funding to employ that. It's hiring NYCHA residents to help us with maintaining the grounds and public spaces. So we're bringing on board 439 of our residents to do that, and folks should be starting now, right now within the next couple of weeks.
But
I'm
that's
sure Lyndon.
temporary.
I'm sure. Well, it's temporary. It's a help. It's a step in the right direction.
Yes, it is.
While we try to work, to really resolve our financial issues that are definitely impacting quality of life issues at the development.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
All right.
Our next speaker is Ms. Phyllis Pocket. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
My name is Phyllis Brockett, like a rocket.
Oh, okay.
Brockett.
Sorry.
I'm the TA president from Linden Houses, and a lot of things that she said was true. But you know what? We as residents got to do our part too. But anyway, what I like to speak on in the parking lot at Linden, what is shared by Linden and Boulevard, they put up a senior citizen building and also affordable housing. There's a conference around that parking lot. You cannot park. Many of the residents are getting tickets that they can't afford, and we want to know how to resolve that situation because there's really no parking. I received a letter in the mail, I think it was from 90 Church Street, telling me to submit my parking sticker to them, and they will renew me a new parking sticker for Penn Workman. Penn Workman is exactly 8 blocks from my house. I'm on the corner of Workman and Skate. So, in other words, housing doesn't consider my safety. If I come in at 1 o'clock in the morning, I have to walk that long distance to my house. Who's there to guard or protect me? So I'm thinking, there's something wrong with this idea. For me, submit, you're not going to reimburse me, but I have to turn in my parking permit. Okay, another thing is that I wonder why years ago you used to, when the people were moving in, you used to give them instructions on what to do. People are moving in. I know there's situations now where people can't help because they lost their jobs. They have to go to shelters and whatnot. But you do have a responsibility to instruct them what their responsibility as residents once they move into these developments. Okay? They say, I was coming out the building the other day, somebody from the 7th floor threw a whole bunch of garbage down. I reported it to management. Okay? They don't care anything. Why? Because you don't stipulate what their responsibility as residents should be. Okay? Another thing, if you say, how can I go about doing it? Every 2 weeks now prior, you send out a form for us for our rent. Why can't you get some extra paper and put in there and say, if you don't adhere to the rules, the policies and procedures, we're going to take further steps. You would rather for them to come in and help cause further deterioration of the development than do something to resolve it. There's a lot of issues going on in housing right now, and I don't think it stemmed from the bottom. I think it's coming from the top.
Ms. Brockett, we will follow up with you offline on the parking situation. Okay. Our next speaker is Ms. Jo Aim Brown. Jo? Mr. Miss, oh, I am sorry, Miss Ann Brown.
Good evening, everyone. I received a phone call telling me to come in here today. And so did a lot of other people. They got a phone call too. But honestly speaking, I really didn't know what I was coming in here to hear about the conversation that was going to be going on, because I didn't get a memo telling me what it's about or whatever. But I do sympathize with all of my residents over there. But at the same time, I want to ask the HUD people about Warren Street houses. They having all these condominiums that's being built over there on Baltic and on Warren, right in the parking lot. They took almost the parking lot over there. And I'm saying, you have all the sawdust and stuff is just flying everywhere. And also too, we have like the drainage situation, just like the young lady said previous, that once it become a real heavy downpour, everything started backing up into the apartments that's on the first floor. Like the raw sewage is just backing up into the apartments. And I'm hoping that HUD can be able to at least send someone out there rather to do like the drainage, just like the young lady said before that. You know, they really need to do that. And honestly speaking, I'm talking about mold that's in people's apartments, okay? I'm one person that I can really verify for about that, but overall, in all other NYCHA apartments, I'm quite sure there's someone that having a problem with mold and leaking, whether from their roof or either somebody got a washing machine that's overflowing and then they don't care about the person that's up under them. But to me, if they can complain about us not paying our rent, maybe that they can start sending out letters if our residents start complaining about the people with the washing machines that not paying attention, or either all this and leaking. Maybe the house in HUD can come together and then help us so that we can have a better living, and then we won't be suffering, brother, with all this asthma, like myself and other people that be suffering with asthma and all kind of other disabilities at the same time.
Ms. Brown, what development are you from?
I'm from Warren Street Houses. I'm the vice president of Warren Street Houses. And so this is why I'm complaining about over there at Warren Street Houses. That's what I said when I first said it. And I'm saying to you, right in the parking lot, they got condominiums is going up on both sides, on Warren Street and on Baltic in the back of us. They took almost the doggone parking lot over there. But then at the same time, they're not trying to help us to maintain our buildings and then fix up the buildings, because there's so much leaking going on, so much flooding going on, and all this mold and stuff that's up in the building that people are really suffering from, like myself. And I have my papers and stuff to prove it, from the doctors, the hospital. Yes, I do. But I'm saying to you at the same time, I'm asking, could HUD and housing get together and help us? I'm talking about all NYCHA developments to work as one, so we can have a decent way to be living, just like all the, I'm going to go off the board now, all the Caucasian people can live all good and well now, okay? But I have nothing against them, but then they going to come in here, then they going to want to move us to the side, well, which they already trying to do. But we need to stick together, let them see that we are human beings as well. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker
Good evening.
Good evening.
I like to, one thing I have to explain. I do not appreciate. I am a person. I am a person with constitutional rights. I do not appreciate NYCHA violating my constitutional and civil rights at ease. Whether I sit on one side of Baltic Street or whether I'm on NYCHA development, my constitutional rights are always intact. Now, NYCHA should not, at ease, violate my constitutional rights. We sit here and I hear you talk about heating and whatever else, but that's not what you do in housing court. There's a discrepancy between what top management says and what NYCHA practices. The housing court assistant should never tell me if I call them and say, I can't do nothing. I'm not available. And that's what I've heard. Secondly, that's one thing. There have been some gas leaks. There's been some duct tape repairs within the walls of NYCHA in 423 in the EF and G line. Money's coming in from HUD relating to Sandy. They're planning to put generators on the top of these buildings. One thing I want to make sure, because I know that those buildings are structurally sound and capable of handling those generators. Because with the gas leaks, which they've had in Wyckoff, and they've had them in Gowanus, they've had leaks, the leaks coming, the leaks in the building, and never should a worker come to my apartment in the winter from work because I have no heat that was turned off by emergency service and they tried to fix it, come to my apartment looking like he went swimming because there's excess steam in the basement. You're supposed to provide a safe and adequate work environment for a worker. The workers, they work. I'm out there early in the morning and I see them working and they're trying to do their job. And sometimes they don't have equipment, they have problems, they're not able to do it. And they buy their own cleaning supplies. Some of them do. And that is a shame. Now we're sitting here and we're talking about this physical plan. I've seen this physical plan, but I have called you 150 times or more to say, I have no heat. And then when I went into court, the worker says, oh, on Sunday, you paid, Ms. Gore said, quote unquote, on Sunday, on October 12th, you paid her overtime to watch another housing assistant give me a piece of paper that I don't know anything about. You paid her holiday, you paid her regular pay, you pay her holiday pay, and probably a Sunday, you get Sunday pay, whatever the union contract says. But you will not pay that. If I call for heat on Friday, I got to wait till Tuesday if it's a holiday. Now, I've seen your physical plan, and I see the paperwork. But what happens with the paperwork and what happens in actual work, what actually happened is two different things. And I want to make sure, and I want you to understand, if you put the generators on those buildings, make sure those buildings are structurally sound. There's no gas leak. There's no water problem. There's no leaks coming down because that's like icing. You have ice in a cake and you don't have that support underneath. That thing is going to tilt. And how can you put a generator on top of a building when you don't have adequate electrical output? You don't know for sure how much we use because if you put on the toaster and put on the washing machine, it blows. Now, you were supposed to put in a separate line for electricity for the air conditioning. You put on the air conditioner and a toaster, and the circuit breaker blows. So there are structural problems that you have to clear up before you put the generator, before all that money comes in. Thirdly, you talked about P&B. I work with P&B. We worked and we have 400 to open up our community center. Community center is still not open. The building's up to code. I don't know what the problem. It's over 2 years. I've seen the co-op downtown Brooklyn go up in 2 years. So Why is it taking you so long? If the building's up to code, you got the money, how much paperwork has to be done in order to get things moving? We need the center open. We need something for the kids. We need the center open just to have the kids to do something. The kids, the adults, the money is there. You said work, we worked. So what is the problem? And I want to tell you, I do not want NYCHA to violate my constitutional rights at will. I will fight.
Thank you, Ms. Ganson. We'll have a Scott. In terms of the community center, Ms. Ganson, I will follow up and get back to you. Our next speaker from Van Dyke Houses, Ms. Diane Waters.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm from Van Dyke Housing, of course, with Miss Lisa Kenner. And I just wanted to let you all know that when they did come to let us know that they was building the buildings, we got tricked, and it wasn't even Halloween. Okay, really. They came and they gave them a little cassette that they was pressing buttons, and the tenants didn't know what they was pressing. They just was going crazy like if they was on their TV set, changing channels. Then after everything was over, now they building another building. Where is the hospitals? Where's the schools? We already overcrowded. We have Brookdale Hospital in our community. People sit there for a day before they can even see a doctor. Sometimes people even die waiting in the waiting room. So now with other buildings coming in the area, how are we all supposed to live? We have different projects fighting against each other. So now when a new building comes, what's going to happen? All the projects is going to fight against the new building, even dogs. Where they go where they go all the time. And when they see another dog, they're going to go after it and go there. So this is my complaint is we've been here through the good, now it's bad. Now we're getting pushed out because, of course, change has to come for everybody. But when you work hard and now you can't even move into a new building after being there for 40, 60 years. I've been there 35 years. I worked in the community. I love the projects, gas and electric, hot water, heat, push out windows. Now we got pull up, you can take the windows out and wash them. Change is good. But when it's going to push us out after we done lived there all this time and we suffered through the bad, we need to see some good as well. Everyone has a right to have better, and we deserve better as well for Brownsville. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Ms. Serena Lazama.
Hello, good evening. My name is Serena. I'm from Reed Development, senior citizen housing. It's supposed to be senior citizen housing, but a lot of other people live there. We are living in a lot of bad conditions, and we need a new door to the entrance of the building because people comes in at night and sleep in the stairways. The senior citizen there, once it get dark, they don't go out. They're afraid to go out at night. But I have to go to church and stuff. But we need cameras. And also, back here in April, my birthday was on April 13th. My son and his wife wanted to come by to give me my birthday gift, but they came pretty late. It was like 10:30, 11 o'clock when my son and his wife was coming into the building. A bunch of guys approached him, and he got on his guard right away, and it was about 4 or 5 of them. He punched one out, and they ran in there. I heard the screaming from my window. I'm on the 18th floor, but I didn't know what was going on. I was waiting for him, because he said, Mama, regardless of what time I come, because he works late, regardless of what time I come, I'm coming to give you your birthday gift. And when he was entering the building, he got jumped by some guys. And it's not safe for our senior citizen, and we need cameras. We need police protections around there, too. There's no police protection in that area, as in Crown Heights. And my son, people are afraid to go out. The senior citizens are afraid to go out at night.
So as Mr. Clark said, NYCHA does not have the funding to provide camera, but we encourage all resident association to approach your city council member for funding to install cameras in the building.
Okay, I was talking to them also.
Very great.
Yes,
So
yes.
please continue to do so, and Mr. Clark can give you estimate on the cost. So when you're asking for funding, you'll have the numbers. Okay?
Okay, thank you. A lot of other complaints, but I wrote it down.
Okay.
Thank
so
you.
We'll take,
All right.
Thank you. Our next speaker is A. Robertson.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My
From
problem
Florentino Plaza.
yes. Since I moved in there, well, I used to get mildew, but that was fixed. They come a couple times, wash it out, and it still come back soon as rainfall or snow, and they had to dig out the whole inside of the closet. We had to throw away a lot of clothes. The only thing I could have keep was a white shirt, but it still got mildew spot because it never came out. And when I wash dishes, I get double sink. One is deep, one is shallow. And if I wash dishes in the shallow sink, the soap water coming up in the other sink. And if people wash upstairs, the water do the same thing. It come up in my sink. And I complain about that. Nothing never done.
So I
And
can have, okay. Yeah.
they always leave the door, the main door downstairs. They shack it. I sure everybody have keys. And our building is like 4 floors. I live on the second. And urine behind the door. And they leave the garbage right there, and there's only one set of people doing it. Anyway, we need a camera up in the corner so we could see who leaving the garbage, but we know is who doing it. It's 4 floors. It's 16 family. Why can't we keep that place clean? I used to wake up 5 o'clock every morning because when I used to work, I wake up at 5, go to work for 7. And map out that whole floor, always clean. The second floor, 2215. And now I can't do it anymore because it's the same thing. Last week, Wednesday, all the lights in the hallway was with flies, big flies. My neighbor spraying one side and I spraying the other side with roach and fly spray. Okay, from since then, I called the 771 number. Nobody came to see what was going on. All these flies, plenty, when I tell you plenty, plenty, in the hallway. It's only Wednesday, because the regular person wasn't there, the girl came up and swept the floor.
So I'm going to ask someone from Brooklyn Property Management to speak to you regarding your issues.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's our last question. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to the 2016 FY plan, and have a great evening. Get home safely.